not being.
You support the Israelis in invading Gaza?
You know, I think
It's an easy question.
No, it's not an easy question, because I would prefer not. That's why I flew from Cambodia to try to prevent an invasion last time.
Have we done enough to prevent an invasion?
Well, I don't know the answer to that because I'm not on the inside. I know that there's been a lot of phone calls and a lot of outreach and working with Arabs and others to try to influence Hamas and to try to get them to stand down. Hamas may feel like they're totally cornered. They've got Egypt under Sisi on one side. They've got Israel not willing to, and I don't blame them at all, for suffering missiles. And so Hamas may feel like they have nothing to lose. I think they have to be convinced they do have something to lose.
Who can convince them?
Well, I think Qatar, Turkey would be the two principal interlocutors, as they say in diplomacy, that I would look to.
I assume the president's having all those kind of conversations.
I believe that's probably the case.
But you would think, because we have a relationship with Qatar, that they could be using their influence in order.
That in the book, when I write about the ceasefire and I write about the work that I did to bring Netanyahu and Abbas together 3 times, I have something in there about Qatar, because even though Qatar has changed leaders in the last year, a
new emir and a new prime minister, a new foreign minister.
They play an outsized role because they're willing to fund a lot of Islamist groups, including the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, and others.
And others who are fighting against Assad in Syria.
And in that case, I think it's more the Saudis than the Qataris, but the Qataris are very active in Gaza, in Egypt, in Libya, and I think that there needs to be a very clear line of communication with them about trying to head off an invasion. Because, of course, it would be better if there were not an invasion. But on the other hand, it's difficult for me sitting here talking to you to understand exactly all of the intelligence that the Israelis are seeing about what leaving the rockets untouched could mean to them. And, of course, they now have Sisi upset because he had a ceasefire, which they ignored, and he's worried about the Sinai. And, there still are tunnels that come up in Israel and tunnels that come up in Egypt.
They just caught somebody trying to build another tunnel.
They did, and they just caught some people coming out of a tunnel. So this is a terrible situation.
But does it have the potential to, as Syria did, and we worried a lot about, explode beyond the region, beyond the borders of Gaza?
Hard to say at this point. It hasn't in the past, in part because up until now, the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank has not thought it was in their interest to in any way support or cooperate with Hamas. And the security forces of the Palestinian Authority have been effective. But if there's not a very clear agreement between Israel and the Palestinian Authority that they will have more autonomy, that they will be able to show that they get something for trying to keep the West Bank quiet, then it does have the potential for an explosion. So clearly, anything that can be done should be done to try to prevent an invasion and, in effect, a reoccupation of Gaza, because that is not in anybody's interest, in my opinion.